Okay, so as I said, there's only 3 characters left: Arjuna, Altera, and Altera Larva. I really don't need to do much of a guide for the last one, but the other 2 actually kinda have some nuances to talk about. Not this character, not so much, but either way, we're gonna talk about Arjuna today. First up in our little series. He is probably the I was gonna say hardest archer to use, but it's between Robin might be a little harder to use. Well, both have their own differences in how difficult they are to use. Robin is hard in the department of you finding the opportunities to get your kills. Arjuna, the difficulty is when you should use your skills, except Agni Gandiva. It's the Agni Gandiva being the skill that you can pretty much use whenever. But we'll talk about that one by one once we get there. Either way, first up, let's show skills up. Seems like a good start. And basic attacks and everything in between. Also, Arjuna suffers. But either way, I'm just gonna warn you, it's between Arjuna and Robin who's the hardest to play, but if you want to know who the weakest archer is, probably Arjuna. This is probably the weakest archer in the game, unfortunately. Out of the 4 archers in this game, he's probably the weakest. It's like, it wasn't gonna be Gilgamesh or Emiya, hell no, definitely not. So it was between him and Robin, but Robin has, it's just, Robin has more tools to work with, or better tools to work with. Arjuna, not so much, unfortunately. So either way, let's start with obvious basic attacks first. So let's start off. One line, one heavy. That's actually perfectly fine. It's actually a decent melee around, so it's not actually half bad. Also, singular heavy. His singular heavy is weird. It's a dash and heavy. Like, it's kind of weird, and being fair, it doesn't matter. It's just the single heavy attack and it doesn't ever matter. 2 light, 1 heavy. This is trash. Screw this. Never do this. Ever with Arjuna. This is absolutely awful. You will never hit anybody with this heavy. At all. So just forget ever using that. 3 light. And okay, the 3 light 1 heavy is actually good. It would be great if not for that 3rd light. That 3rd light is makes me want to just say no, stop. I hate that type of light, which is like the AoE around you light attack. It's good if it's the heavy, but if it's the light, it's not very good actually, usually. Work very well. But that heavy actually does good damage. So 3 light 1 heavy is a good choice. 4 light 1 heavy, it's also fine. I'd stick to the 3 light 1 heavy for damage on enemy, for servants, and the 4 light 1 heavy more clear because, you know, it actually has a cone. And finally, but not last, full light. This is okay. It's actually not that bad for a full light combo. Well, except for the 3rd light, surprise. But the rest is actually fine. Either way, his lights are not very good. Mainly because of that 3rd light. This freaking stupid 3rd light. Anyone that has that stupidity of a spin is not do very well on PvP with light attacks. It can do very well, basically. Because they're stuck doing the spinny animation, which is, every time it sucks. Being fair, his is one of the faster ones. He's probably the fastest spinning one I've seen. So you could technically still make do, but it's still not good. It is better than Robin's. Sorry, Robin. Your spinning is... Either way, here's the aerials though. They suck. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's like this is not very good. I mean, it's good air to air, being fair, but technically speaking, it is the longest range air basic attack if they're in the air. Warning, not a lot of people will be unless they're doing something infinite to someone who's on the ground. So while this is neat, it's not gonna win any cases. Okay, that's the basic attacks either way. Now, time for these skills because that's more important, slightly more important. First up, I'll flame the light. This is the skill is it's a little like, you know, Skazaha's flame rune. It's a little bit like that, but not only does it take longer to actually execute it compared to Skazaha, its damage is pitiful. It's kind of sad how little damage this thing does so little damage. It's also not very good for clearing, so it's not even gaining in depth. It's just a really sad skill. You could technically dodge some stuff because he jumps in the air, but it's not gonna happen a lot. Majority 9 times out of 8. Okay, I'm gonna say 8 times out of 10 you're gonna like get hit while you're doing this if someone's behind you. So just warning about the skill. Not very good. Earth Piercing Fire. I used to use this skill a ton, and being fair, mainly because its clear was actually pretty decent. But I ended up enjoying other skills on his kit more. And first up, this skill has a charge up for some dumb reason, and its range is kind of short. For a cone skill, with the charge up it has, you'd think it would go like a little further than where it goes, but it doesn't. It's good to get drive, or fine to get drive, but that's about where it ends. It's kind of meh. You could still use it technically, but I recommend it for ease of use though. It is easier to use than some, or you have more times you can use this than some of his other skills. For people that have less practice, I recommend it. It's a little easier to use than a lot of his other skills. Next up, Barrage of the Fire God. So this is one of those you stick in place and shoot. Now, usually these skills are not very good. Usually they're not very good. The Arjuna might be the sole exception to this case. Because as you can see, he can turn this thing a lot. He can actually turn the thing way more than any other character with this type of skill. Literally. You basically, let's say I start here, I can 180, like almost a full 360, like 180, so it's 270. 270 degrees basically. It's how much you can turn this thing, which is pretty good. But and it's also really good at gaining drive. This thing shoots fries with a good amount of range, by the way. This is great to get drive. Absolute amazing to get drive. It gives, if done in a proper spot, you can basically get like at least half of his drive bar in one go. Like seriously, it's really good for drive gain. But well, let's go to the obvious weakness. You can't move in this form. In doing this shenanigan, you are a sitting duck. Anyone that is planning to hit you with some long-range stuff will hit you with long-range stuff. At least longer than your shots are. Also, this skill suffers from something else, which is it will only hit one of the free barrages. So think of it like this. This skill has free barrages, right? Okay, you hit someone with that barrage, these two will not hit him anymore. So you can only hit a character with one barrage, which really dumb, but it's a thing, unfortunately. They block one barrage, after that they are free to do whatever the hell they want. It's a shame, but that's a thing. I don't recommend this for those... Well, after I'll explain that in a minute. I do not recommend Barrage of the Fire God to someone who doesn't know how to use it. The way to use Barrage of the Fire God is a little bit... Well, it's kind of simple in a way, but also kind of annoying. Because you're still a sitting duck in the end. You are... First, make sure you are safe. Wherever the fudge you are, nobody is close to you. Never use Barrage of Fire God if someone is close to you. You're basically asking to be killed. If nobody's near you, then you can actually activate this. Use it to either snipe people that are not too far away from you, but far enough that you're still safe. Or B, use it to get drive. And I mean a lot of drive while out of combat. Usually you'll want to be outside the point, where you won't be getting as much flak or as much amount of fire from people because you're outside the point. But that's Barrage of the Fire God. In a nutshell, I don't recommend it unless you have some practice on it. Or, you know, I recommend it if you practice. If you have practice with it, yeah, go for it. It's better than using Earth Piercing Fire, probably. If not, don't. Just stick with Earth Piercing Fire. It's a lot easier to use. Next up, Godspeed Bow. So this is, remember Cuchulain's Fangs of the Earth? The zigzag ability? This is that, but with few tidbits. First tidbit, how to explain? You have a bigger area of effect. That is true. It has a bigger area of effect than Cuchulain's Fangs, which is nice. The negative. You're not invulnerable. On contrary to Fangs of the Earth, you are not invulnerable. You can... Anyone shoots the middle of that whole array of attacks, and you're gonna get hit by a lot of damage. So this skill is a high risk, high reward skill, kind of. Well, medium reward. It doesn't do that much damage, but it's very high risk. However, it is great for locking someone down. If you, because it has a huge area. But it's great for locking someone down because once you catch someone with this, even if they kind of have to block the whole thing, they can try to dash out, but they will still be hit by some of it. Either way, though. So it's an interesting skill, but if you miss it, you're screwed. Obviously, you miss the skill, you're screwed. You hit the skill, you're fine. On drive, you can use this whenever you want, basically. It is a skill that's like, you gotta choose when to use it. You can't just use it willy-nilly, or you will get punished for using this skill. On contrary to Fangs, where you can basically just use it just about any time you want. Almost any time you want. And that's Godspeed Bow. Do I recommend it? Yes, kinda. I mean, I recommend it probably over Barrage in terms of safety, I guess, slightly more, but it's only slightly. I still don't recommend. I guess I kinda just like Barrage of the Fire God. I'm gonna say I recommend it if you practice it. Else, no. Well. As you see, I only recommended Earth Piercing Fire until now, and that's because it's easy to use. We're starting off good with him, as you can kindly see. I am not recommending a lot of stuff for Arjuna at all. Mainly because everything he does is a lot of what he does, not everything. A lot of what he does is risky as hell to use, especially close up. I know you're an archer, I know you're supposed to be far away. He is the most archer of the archers. But goddamn, we'll keep our piercing fire just because we said that whole thing about it being the recommended one. And technically, the build I'm using now, I would recommend for someone that's new. I'd probably recommend what I'm using right now, or these 4 I'm using right now. One of them's a very easy recommendation. Actually, 2 of them technically. One of them especially, though, is more easily recommended than the others. Okay, let's just go for it. We're just waiting for Okay, so first up, Flame Pillar. This is good. Okay, it's a decent sized cone forward. And while it does not look instantaneous, a point here about Flame Pillar. The moment you click the button, this is out. It is out. I've seen people try to interrupt Flame Pillar and just get hit by it nonetheless. They kinda interrupt me and do damage to me, but this still does damage to them. If, you know, they were in the path of the actual ability. Usually they try to interrupt with close range skills, okay? So, Flame Pillar, no matter what anybody does, will come out. No matter what, it will come out. This thing will come out. Okay? Let's just accept it. That's gonna happen. It is a pretty nice skill just because of that. And because it's safer to use than this to a point. It's slightly safer to use. It's also got a... I think it's a slightly shorter cooldown. Not much shorter. Slightly shorter. Trying to see. I think it's about the same. I think they have about the same. Actually, no, it has a longer cooldown. Huh. Okay, I guess it does have a longer cooldown. It doesn't matter though. It's still that it can't be interrupted. This can be interrupted on the other hand. That's why I prefer Flame Pillar. I do recommend Flame Pillar. It's easy to use. Fighting Flames. I'm not one to usually recommend stuns. And to this point, I still probably say I don't recommend this stun at all either. Because this stun has good properties and bad properties. Good property, it looks a lot like your drive skill. Or the start of it looks a lot like your drive skill. There is some differences, but it looks quite a bit like your drive skill. And it has a decent area in front of him of effect. The negative, which is kind of the negative why I don't like using it personally, is that this stun in particular has a bit of a build-up. Yeah, only then it actually affects. It actually has quite a build-up. I've seen people try to use this stun, and I'm like, oh no, they're about to stun me, and I could literally have just walked past them in the time it takes for this to come out. It's hilarious. I don't know why, but it feels like it takes forever to do that stun. Either way, it still has the usual stun properties, though, and as per usual, it requires practice. Though I'd say it requires less practice to use than either Godspeed Bow and Barrage, and that's why I technically recommend Binding Flames. I like the other ones better, but I do recommend Binding Flames over the other two. Just for ease of use. If you can use any of the other two better than Binding Flames, do it. Anyways, Agni Gandiva is best skill. It's a snipe. Simple. It is a long range, quote unquote. It is technically a long range, heavy damage, giant shot. It's a snipe. It does a lot of damage and it travels far. The better you are at hitting this, the more damage you do with Arjuna. Simple as that. This is your bread, your butter, and something and everything else in between. It's literally the best skill. So get good at sniping. That's all I can say. If you're not good at hitting Agni Gandiva, I'm sorry to say you probably should play some other character. Probably for the best. Or, you know, keep practicing and get really good and basically never miss one. Or almost never miss. Let's be fair, you will miss something sooner or later. Anyways, drive skill time. This is a drive skill. This is what I meant by looking like the other one. The stun. It is a huge area in front of him. This is a pretty good drive skill, by the way. It has a big area of effect. It goes through walls and over wall. Basically, it kind of ignores a bit of the terrain since it goes up and down. So in a map like Stormy Sea Palace, in the first the sector you start off in, where there's that elevation, if you're down there, you will hit with your drive skill from down in the bottom. You will hit up there with the drive skill. It's a pretty good drive skill. Also, you're immune. Even better, you are immune. You can see, it is a huge area of effect. It literally covers a point by itself. It's really big area of effect. You basically say to everyone that's on point, get the hell out of my point, in one drive skill. And that's about it for his skills and drive. He's pretty nice. It's pretty okay, but either way, we're gonna go and do some actual AI PvP. I call it PvP. Versus AI now, just to prove a point. Okay, just to show how he'd be probably played. Well, I play him completely the opposite of how he should be played, personally. I really do. I actually play the opposite of how he should be played. He's a character just like Gilgamesh that does not really want to be on point. And that does not mesh well with me, even though I love playing him. He should not be played on point. Okay, this is, again, my build. This is my build. This is the build that requires practice. This one is gonna be the recommended one. Recommended. And it's the recommended build. And then we're gonna make this just team build. Just team. Okay, the recommended build, as I said, I'm gonna switch some things here. I think it's just these two. Put that there, and so this is the recommended build. This is my build, and this is gonna be the meme build, which I will alter a bit. Again, this is not a very serious one. This is more like just for fun. You're basically just putting yourself in extreme difficulties with this build. Just have fun with this. This is my build. Flame Pillar, Agni Ganiva, Barrage of the Fire God, got Speedbow. This is the hard build. I'm gonna be using this build over the recommended because this is my build. It's harder to use compared to recommended build. Just a warning. It is harder to use this than the recommended. Recommended build. Earth Piercing Fire, Flame Pillar, Agni Ganiva, Binding Flames. Simple. Nothing here is extremely dangerous, and the sirens today are just all going off. My god. And Binding Flames, which is the stun. Just everything here is relatively safe. You got a stun and everything if you want to use it. Just this is pretty cut and dry, simple. Meme build, the meme build. This is, you basically want to kill yourself almost with this build a bit. You are putting yourself in more danger than it's actually required. Anyways, it's high time we put ourselves in for the custom match. So create a room, enter, and start the battle, and go. Rome doesn't matter. So again, well, if I was a friend of mine, I'd be taking a shot right now, but I'm not a friend of mine, and I don't drink, so sorry. It's a joke with a friend of mine, by the way, if you're wondering, chat. It's every time someone has a Jill DeRay on their team, AI on their team, my friend has to take a shot. So it's just a joke from when we played a lot of this game. Either way, let's just play. So you can use that for see, Barrage of the Fire God, you can... Oh, by the way, little tidbit about Arjuna, he sucks at taking towers. I mean, absolutely sucks at taking towers. So, Barrage of the Fire God, you'll be doing something like this, try and get as many minion kills as possible. Hit your shots, catch people off guard with the Barrage of the Fire God when you can. If you can. If you don't, if you cannot, don't. Might as well not even use it. This is what you want to do with Barrage. Get as many kills as possible. So you can, you know, obviously try and get as much drive while there's no enemies around. Agni Gandiva when you can. And miss or something. Yeah, this is what I meant by locking someone down the fence. It's kind of ridiculous. Pillar. So you get too close. If you're safe again, Barrage of the Fire God at will. Simple as that. Just nothing amazing. Obviously drive when you have drive and use it to your advantage. Nothing abnormal there. Go grab your towers, people. Don't do like me. Mainly this is because I'm fighting AI. I actually can do something like this. Yeah, Godspeed Bow while you're on Drivo hits like a truck. So you take advantage of it hitting like a truck. Also Barrage of the Fire God as well. You can see. Hits like a truck as well. On Drive, you're actually pretty good, fine. Your skills that usually aren't safe become a lot safer. Not completely unsafe, but a lot safer. Okay? And obviously, if you have his drive please. He's actually got a safe one. Yep, something like that. Gets kills like Gandiva style. I actually didn't notice the food playing there. Maybe not, would not have been the safest opportunity that was it. Again, Agni Gandiva when you can. Oh wow, that reaches that high? Holy moly. I actually did not know that. I seriously did not know that. This is not a... Oh yeah, by the way, be careful using Godspeed Bow on characters who counter. Just warning. Because they will counter that, and they will absolutely murder you if they can. Again, time you got this up, use it. If you can. Do a lot of damage to enemies. See what I mean? He blocked one barrage of that and it didn't work anymore. It's really dumb why that's a thing. Oh well. It is a thing, unfortunately. They're not coming in time. No more. No big Agni Gandiva. We can't shoot the sky and blast them down to death. I do enjoy playing Arjuna a lot. I have a lot of fun playing him. He is one of my favorite characters to play. He's like top 4. It's... If I have to choose 5 characters that I wouldn't mind playing all the time, it would be Gilderay, Lancelot, Drake, Arjuna, and Karna. The only one of these 5 I don't play as much is like Karna, mainly because I got my reasons not to play him. It's not because I suck at him, it's because well, I have my reasons not to use Karna. Let's just leave it at that. There's more characters I enjoy though, don't take me wrong. I enjoy playing Cook Lane. I do enjoy playing Medusa once in a while. I have enjoyed playing Lubu a lot. Archimedes is hilarious to play as well. And in my opinion, Jean is also pretty nice to play. Some of the other ones, some are more neutral forwards, like Nero, Tamamo. I also like to play Charlie a little bit. Nero and Tamo I'm relatively neutral. Tamo can be fun, a bit more fun than Nero, I think, personally. Altera, Emiya is fun. I just don't use him a lot. Emiya is fun for sure. I hate using Gawain, and I will keep hating using Gawain and stuff. Either way, I'm dilly-dallying. Final remarks on Arjuna. How good is Arjuna in actuality? He is down there. He's not in a great spot compared to... He is the most unsafe archer out of the 4 archers, weirdly enough, and we're counting all of the archers. His skills do good damage, but nothing amazing, except Agni Gandiva being the most damaging of all of them, by far. His basic attacks are meh. And literally the thing that actually saves him the most is his drive skill is pretty good. He just, on contrary to every other archer in the game, he just feels like the one archer that's the most archery of the archers is somehow got somewhat less range in a lot of his skills compared to a character like goddamn Gilgamesh. He doesn't have the shortest. He has like his Agni Gandiva goes his actually shorter range than Gilgamesh's Enkidu modification. Somehow. It's obviously shorter range than Poison Arrow. The only character he beats in range is technically Emiya. And that in terms of the other archers, and it's not by much, because remember Blade Works goes 10 billion miles forward. So, still. The rest of his Arjuna skill just don't have range. Like, they are relatively unsafe, and they're all relatively unsafe in some way, shape, or form. He has... Flame Pillar is the closest thing you're gonna get to an instantaneous skill. On him, by the way. Everything he does requires setup. And unfortunately, that's not good enough. Basically, he is like bottom 4 characters in the game, probably. He's not a D, no. He's a C. Ranking-wise, from D to EX, D, C, B, A, S, EX, he's a high C. He is better than the other 3 characters I've mentioned before, which are Drake, Lancelot, and Elizabeth. He's slightly better than them, but he's like better than Lancelot just by a little bit, because his skills are a little bit more reliable than Lancelot's. Even though Lancelot does have a counter, at least he's it's like he's close to being a B, but he's not quite as good as B level characters in my opinion. In my opinion, if he just had like, if one of his skills was like a little faster, or just Agni Gandiva actually had a bit more range, I don't know, it's hard to say what he needs. Well, actually, there's one. If Godspeed Bow worked like Fangs for Cuchulainn, that would be great. I think that would literally save him a lot of trouble if Godspeed Bow was like, worked exactly like Fangs of the Earth. Because, nonetheless, just so you know, Godspeed Bow has one extra weakness that I forgot to mention. And that extra weakness is, at the end, on contrary to Mr. Cuchulainn, who has a little dash attack at the end, this one does not. At the end, he just lands on the ground, and he's basically a sitting duck for a bit. It's like, god damn it, why? Why not just... At least if he was immune during the whole duration and then weak at the end, okay, I can accept that. But he's weak in all the stages, so it's kind of sad. Godspeed Bow is still nice, but it's like extremely risky to use. So, point of the matter is, Arjuna is fun, but especially if you like characters that like to play outside the point and with decent range at least. Bow, you will suck at getting towers. He does absolutely suck at getting towers. So warning about that. Either way, Arjuna is a C. And that's all I